Okay, good evening everyone, and welcome to Castoshi Live. This is episode 5. If you haven't seen the other 4 episodes, please do give us a like, give us a watch, give us whatever you like. It's the 17th of March today, 2023, and this episode is with myself, Mark Rees, and my co-host Zubair Quraishi. Today we're going to be talking about one of our favourite subjects, and that's the banks. Why are the banks failing, and are good friendly crypto rising? Now I know Zubair's had a really good look at this week, so I'm going to let you just give us a little intro and tell us what's been happening.
Well, if you haven't heard, there's basically been 5 large banks that have gone under in the last week and a half. Some of them actually a little bit earlier. First there was Silvergate, then there were, and now I might get the order wrong here. Then there was First Bank or something.
First Bank, go on.
Something like
go on.
First Credit or something Bank. Then there was Silicon Valley Bank.
Yes. Number 13th biggest in the USA, yeah. I think.
Then there was Credit Suisse. That's been going bad for a couple of years. Actually, I've got the names. I can't remember all of the names now, but that's how bad it is. I can't remember the names, and so many big banks are going under.
Well, yeah, I think there's so many of them. I think it doesn't really matter what they're called anymore. I can honestly see a few months' time, or perhaps a few years, definitely, and there won't be many of the big banks left. So, I know you've been looking at this a lot. I tend to skim a little bit about this, but perhaps you could give us a few more details about it.
Well, it's interesting. I'd like to know from you, Mark, what do you think has been happening based on what's been released from the news?
I think with a lot of these banking, it's to do with the stable coins, and I think it's where fiat and crypto meet. When you're trying to impose some of the fiat rules and how fiat works on traditional banking and impose that on the crypto side of things, it doesn't quite work. It's never the twain will meet. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, well, partly. So if you read the media, some people have been talking about like Operation Choke Point, because they seem to think that the US is trying to kill crypto by closing down Silvergate and other banks. But if you look at the big picture, it's not actually crypto at fault here. It's not crypto bringing down the banking system, which a lot of people are saying. It's actually the other way around. The banking system nearly brought down crypto, notably USDC. So the problem was with Silicon Valley Bank, which was a bank used a lot in Silicon Valley, and it was used to fund a lot of startup companies. And they had about $200 billion under management. Now, they had a problem with 1.8 billion of it. That's only 1%, but that was enough to scare people. And because of that, there was a bit of a run on the bank, and startup companies started to take their money out. Now, USDC, which is the USD stablecoin, it was valued at about $40 billion at the time, and what they did was they were already in the process of taking their money out of Silicon Valley Bank when it crashed. And so what happened was, because USDC was backed by different banks in the background, because they actually had the dollars in the bank, because the banking system was failing, it made USDC lose about 10% of its value.
Yeah, well, I just can't see how you got a supposed stable coin which is pegged 1-to-1. How can it lose any of its value? And for me, when you say in the US dollar, USDC there's about 40 billion USDC. Well, how many trillion US dollars is there? Shouldn't it be pegged 1-to-1? Shouldn't they have the same amount? Or this is where I get confused with the stable coins, and I think it's a fiat system, a traditional bank system, trying to move into the crypto world, and for me, it's not working.
Okay, when you talk about stable coins, well, you have to you have to distinguish these different types. These algorithmic stable coins like Terra Luna, and that crashed last year, and that was basically something which was supposed to be redeemable for $1, but in the background there was some algorithms which were allowing you to redeem $1. But of course the problem is you get one slight problem with the algorithm, and that means that suddenly your stable coin can go off peg.
Okay.
Which is what happened, and it crashed to zero.
Right, so that's that one.
Yeah. Now, with stable coins like USDC, they are actually banked by actual dollars, US dollars in the bank. So in theory, they should always be 1-to-1.
In theory.
And the problem here, there was nothing wrong with the stable coin. The problem was the bank itself went bankrupt. And this is something that shouldn't actually happen, because when you have dollars, they should be, well, $1 should be $1. And so what happened was, anyway, USDC went down because Silicon Valley Bank went down, and they had just over $3 billion in there. And then what happened was, in the weekend, the US government said we will guarantee 100% of these deposits. Now you have to remember, if you look historically, of like when banks have gone down, only something like, I think, less than 0.5% of all bank failures have resulted in depositors losing money.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you ask someone who's lost money, they might actually think it's a lot higher, because you hear about them more. But so what that means is that USDC, the bank backing it, actually was made whole again. Then USDC went back up to peg to $1. But during that time, there was a lot of people who freaked out and sold their USD, and they thought, I don't want to take the chance of it going down, because if there'd been a run on USDC and everyone had started trying to sell it, the value could have gone lower.
Well, yeah, but this sounds a bit like when you're walking into your bank, you want your money back, and they haven't got it, so they can't give it to you.
Yes. Yes.
And then we're looking at the stability, when it sounds a bit like your fiat money should be one USD, and your crypto should be 1 USD. Is that market manipulation where people enjoy the volatility of the crypto market? Are they trying to induce a bit of volatility in the traditional fiat market?
No. Okay, so if you look at so you have to understand this, you have to look at how the banking system works. And you've got the Fed, the Federal Reserve in the US, and then you've got these 4 top-tier banks. You've got JP Morgan, Bank of America, and a couple of others. And these banks are basically too big to fail. They're called systematic risk, so the US government will always bail them out. Underneath them, you've got this thing called regional banks. And this is a distinction, and this is a type of bank a lot of people say should never have existed. You should just have one tier. And what these regional banks have is they can actually go bankrupt, and this is a bit of a problem. So, but what happened with Silicon Valley Bank specifically is they had money invested. They took customers' money. They did invested it in things like in like US Treasuries and T-bills. Now the problem they had was they bought T-bills, long-term T-bills, and they bought them a couple of years ago.
When you say T-bill, can you explain?
Like T-bills are like when you get a bill from the US government. It's like you borrow money, and they pay you lend them money, and they pay you interest, and you can get long-term and short-term. Now they borrowed the money from the US government when interest rates were low.
Okay.
So now what's happened is interest rates have gone up. So those T-bills, if they were to redeem them today, they wouldn't get $1 for them. For each $1 of T-bills, they would get maybe 75 cents. And the reason they get less is because they're long term. Because you redeem the T-bill at the end of its lifespan, which could be 10 years or 20 years or something.
So their reserve wasn't 100% what it should have been.
Well, it wasn't. Yeah, it was worth, like, their dollars were worth $1, but it was $1 in 10 years or however long the T-bill was. So what that means is that if people wanted all of their money, they couldn't have got it from Silicon Valley Bank because they'd have had to wait 10 years, which means they didn't have the access to the liquidity today. And this is basically how all banking works. So there's nothing strange here. This is how banking works everywhere.
Yes, yeah, no, totally agree.
So
Totally
USDC was not. It's not really. It's used in crypto, but it's not. But it's most of it is actually centralized.
So are you talking about USD almost acting like a bridge? Well, probably not a bridge as in crypto.
Yes, it's a bridge.
But a link between fiat and crypto.
Yeah, it's a link between fiat and crypto, and you can't, and it's not totally decentralized. Like you could say a totally decentralized crypto, it couldn't really have dollars in the background. It couldn't have real dollars because dollars are not, they are, like fiat money is controlled by the US government, and there has to be a way to link them, and that's what algorithmic stablecoins tried to do. They tried to make a crypto only US dollar, and there hasn't been a single algorithmic stablecoin to date which has worked.
So the big question I have is, do we need stablecoins?
Well, up to now it's been useful because in the journey of crypto, stablecoins have been a way for people to onboard money into the crypto ecosystem. That's how we've ended up with hundreds of billions of dollars in crypto.
Okay.
I mean, we needed a way to get it in, and stable coins have been a good way. Like for example, if someone buys Bitcoin, often what they do is they buy it, and if you have to do it via banking, it takes ages. But with stable coins, you can buy Bitcoin within 5-10 minutes, and so it's a fast way to buy Bitcoin. Because don't forget, a lot of people don't trade on exchanges. If you're on an exchange, you can trade with your account. But if you're decentralized, like a lot of people might trade from Atomic Wallet or any number of other front ends which allow you to trade in a decentralized way, and to do that they would use USDC or Tether, and then they trade into Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, and then they trade out again.
So using the stability of the stable coin.
Yeah, and having that stable coin would also give some level of custody because they could hold it in their own wallet. So you don't have to go to the bank or an exchange and say, can I buy this or that?
So would you let's give us a scenario. Let's live in a world without a stable coin.
Then every time you wanted crypto, you'd have to go via an exchange, and you'd have a lot less trading in crypto because most people who are trading with crypto are doing it with stable coins.
Yeah. Would there, I'm putting you on the spot here, is there another system, do you think, rather than a stable coin? Because as you say, stable coin can't go down, it's always going to be pegged, but yet we've seen various examples of it. So is there another system out there perhaps that would help people integrate with the crypto world from their fiat world?
Well, that really would just be the exchanges and using the fiat rails. There isn't really any other way. I mean, you could say someone could, like they could buy like a miner and mine Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever, and then they could do that. I mean, that's what miners do.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. I thought you had some new innovative system because I know you.
No, I mean you can trade any tokens because there's decentralized exchanges like I think DYDX and Uniswap, and you can change your tokens for Bitcoin or something else via these decentralized exchanges. But if you've got fiat money, you still have to have that on ramp into crypto.
Okay.
That hasn't answered your question. I haven't given you the alternative, but
well, no, you haven't given me the alternative. But what you have done is explained it a lot better, and I hope if you are listening out there or watching that you've understood it a bit better. I mean, I'm a big crypto enthusiast. Sometimes these things just confuse the dickens out of me. So thank you for that, Zubair. Perhaps we'll move on to another topic. Is there anything you'd?
Well, the main thing is why is crypto going up? I mean, because the banks have been failing, and why has crypto been going up? And that I've got a good answer for as well, because that was.
Well, I'm not going to ask you that.
Oh, okay. No, you don't have to.
No, go on. Tell me why you think the crypto's going up.
Well, if you go back 14 years to when Castoshi set up Bitcoin, and the reasoning given at the time was because the banks were failing and the system doesn't work. Now you look at it, 14 years later, we've done a lot of the crypto experiment, and now and now suddenly people are seeing again, oh, hang on a minute, my money's might not be safe in banks.
What is the reason of
And
Bitcoin?
look at all this inflation. So suddenly, after you could say it's taken 14 years for the world to start, because people keep saying, what's the use case of Bitcoin? What's the use case? Now suddenly people are starting to see the use case. Oh, hang on a minute, I've got money that it's harder for people to take away from me.
So you think perhaps in the 14 years, let's say since 2017 when it really sort of started taking off, do you think people are using Bitcoin now as an investment, as a pension fund, as something that is less volatile and more for the future, rather than its original purpose obviously was as a form of money, of e-cash? Do you think people now have thought, oh, hang on, I played around with crypto for a few years, I've lost X amount, I've won X amount, but I tell you what, Bitcoin has been our stable brother or stable father through all of this. So I tell you what, I'm going to just go back to Bitcoin.
Yeah,
so has there been a bit of a circle?
Well, you're starting to see that because a lot of people went into altcoins, and there's a lot of people who call themselves Bitcoin maximalists, or other people call them that. And one thing you're noticing with the rise of Bitcoin at the moment is people haven't gone into the altcoins that much. You know, in the old days, every 1% that Bitcoin went up, altcoins would go up by 10 or 20%.
Oh, really?
And down as well. And you might remember that a little change. And the reason for that was simple: that when Bitcoin goes up, it takes a lot of money to make Bitcoin rise. So when you see Bitcoin in the last few days has gone from like 20,000 to 27,000, that's billions of dollars gone into people buying Bitcoin.
Go on, sorry.
But if someone buys an altcoin, they can put in $1 million, and that altcoin goes up 20x.
Yeah. I personally,
so that's the difference.
Personally, I don't watch the altcoin. I'll be the dreaded maxi in this case. But what I have noticed as well with Bitcoin, it hasn't been a steady curve up over the last week. It has gone down. And is there any reasoning behind that apart from just its normal volatility? Because realistically, for a good few months, it didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, you need people to actually want the thing. It has to be useful. So whenever normally when you see Bitcoin, it's just like traders or people gambling. But right now, the reason it's had quite a solid rise at the moment is because people are actually wanting it and saying, okay, I want the Bitcoin. I don't care if it goes down a bit because this could actually be useful to me. You know, I mean, to have something useful is always better than just having gamblers. And it will always go up and down a bit now because you'll always have some people saying, I'll buy it 22 and I'll sell it 25 and taking profits and stuff like that. You've got a lot of that going on as well.
Yeah. So, you think there's a move from these altcoins going into the Bitcoin, or do you think it's a move from new players in the game coming into the crypto world and going, right, I tell you what, I'm not going to mess about with altcoins, I'm going to go straight into Bitcoin?
I think some of it is, I mean, I know because I had this issue a few days ago when USDC was going down, and the first thing I tried to convert it into was not Tether, it was Bitcoin. But the DEXs, there was no liquidity at the time, you couldn't do it.
Yes, yeah, but
so
you're an OG Bitcoiner. Yeah. Would you say now, being in the crypto space for a long time, are you moving back to that as a stable coin for you?
I've never really been that much in the altcoin space, but only where there's something useful. I mean, I've never actually bought many. I've never not successfully bought an altcoin as an investment. I have to say that. I mean, I've lost money on it.
I'll agree with you on
that. I've actually not made any money. You know, I was a fool in that trade, in all those trades. But I don't think people are going out of altcoins because a lot of the people who have altcoins, I mean, if you're holding an altcoin, you're expecting a 10 or 100x. So I think a lot of it is probably new money or people. I mean, I've heard from people who've got exchanges that there's been a massive increase in the amount of new accounts being opened up.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I think it's new money, and people are saying, well, I think they're following the advice of, even if you've got, just say you've got, like £200,000 or dollars or whatever in your bank account, I think they're now saying, oh, maybe I should keep 5% of it in Bitcoin, and I think that's a sensible thing to do.
Is that a need? No, not a knee-jerk reaction. That's a reaction from the banking crisis of this last week.
Yeah, I mean, the crisis has actually been going on it's been years in the making, but what most people see is the news, and so, like a normal person, not a crypto nerd like us, but a normal person will not, like all they will see is, oh, I might have a problem getting money out of the bank. Because like in America, for example, a lot of banks were having, what startups are doing in America, if they've only banked with one bank, they're now taking the money out and distributing it between several banks. Yeah, so that because don't forget, the insurance is $250,000 per bank.
Oh, right. So if you have, so you
and they don't want to chance it. Because if the government, because with Silicon Valley Bank, the government said they'll guarantee 100% of the funds, but just in case they don't guarantee it for another bank, I mean, people don't want to take the chance of having their money locked up. Because if you've got a startup company, if you get locked up, look at, for example, MT Gox. That went bankrupt in 2014. And it's people probably won't get their money out till they'll probably get about 15% of the money they put in 10 years later. If people can't afford to have their money held up for 10 years if a bank goes under. So
well, you don't tend to get it back if it's with the bank.
Sorry?
You don't tend to get it back if it's with the bank. If the bank goes under.
Well, apparently, eventually people do, but it just takes many years. So and if you've got employees to pay, bills to pay, that it doesn't help you that you get your money back in 10 years.
No.
And so when people see the news and they get spooked, of course now suddenly, I mean, like for me, I saw an important article on Forbes, which is, and they said, oh, maybe there is a use case for Bitcoin, and like I think the headline was funny because it was saying it was saying something as if they've just figured out that Bitcoin could be useful that most people have realised like 14 years ago. Well, Bitcoin has been saying for over a decade.
Well, yes. I mean, I wonder what they're looking at it. What its use case? Are they thinking it as an investment?
No.
Are they thinking of it actually as an e-cash?
So here's the thing: is a lot of people like ask me, should I buy Bitcoin? Do you think it'll be worth more in the future? And they say, and I say, what, like how much do you think? I say no. I think it will just keep going up and up and up. I don't think it will stop. I think it'll get to $1 million and then $2 million, $10, $20 million. And the real Bitcoiners are the ones who aren't waiting to convert it to US dollars. They just don't want to sell the Bitcoin at all. They just want to wait until the whole world is transacting in Bitcoins using the Lightning Network. They're waiting for the day when Bitcoin gets to a state where it's
normal.
It's just normal, and you can just pay for what like when you use the Lightning Network, you can have Bitcoin in your wallet. You can have some for the Lightning for your Lightning wallet, and then you can still pay for US dollars or anywhere that Visa or Mastercard or wherever it accepts, and you can pay for goods in normal shops. So you're taking it from your normal Bitcoin, and you're just spending a little bit of it. So they're waiting for that day. They're not, and that day's already in development with Lightning Network.
Well,
so
I think we're very lucky. Obviously, we're filming this and we're living in Gibraltar, and Gibraltar is at the forefront of a lot of crypto tech and regulation. But I would say there's at least, I don't know, 5 to 10% of main street shops will take crypto on Lightning Network. We've got a few banks here that are giving us cards that accept Lightning payments. We've got Zappo here. We've got I think Damex are doing it. And there's another one, Tap Global. I think Tap Global are doing it. And for us, I suppose, for us seeing it every day, we are used to it. Most other high streets won't have that option, but it's going to come.
Yeah, and now with companies like Strike in the USA, you'll soon be able to pay with Bitcoin at McDonald's or most shops.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, because they've got an integration with NCR, which is the largest cash register company in the world. I mean, you know, the thing is, like, you've got all of this crypto stuff, and it takes time to develop and build these things. You know, and this stuff it's in development, and like one thing that happened in the last, like, I'd say year and a half of crypto winter. I'd say end of 21, it started to really, you know, we had a bit of a winter, so a year and a half, I'd say. But one thing that I noticed was development has gone up exponentially since then. So there's more people than ever developing in crypto, and that's really what matters. That's what brings value to people with innovative services and stuff like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. But the weird thing is, we still have this mass production of coins going onto exchanges that have no utility. You'd think well, personally, I would have thought that now would be the end of that. We don't need any new coins produced. We don't want them. They have been known as pump and dump.
Well, here's how I see it. Is, I mean, I don't gamble myself, but a lot of people love gambling. But what do you do when you're a young person, and you know, you get married, you've got kids, and your wife doesn't like you gambling? You go to the stock market. You go to crypto.
Yes, could be. I suppose if there's people always willing to gamble, there's people always willing to take their money off them.
Yeah, and don't forget the crypto, like, you know, crypto prices and all that, and these tokens. You know, this is only a very tiny part of crypto. Honestly, I don't think it's. I mean, like, crypto is so big. You know, every time you go to a web address, HTTPS, it uses cryptographic algorithms. But, you know, it's not cool. No one thinks about it that you use crypto hundreds of times every day. You know, and people get attracted by the shiny lights and the bells and whistles and prices going up. But it's not really got much to do with crypto at all, or all of these tokens.
Yes, but I suppose with these tokens are the shop window.
Yeah, I mean tokens like Ethereum, which have utility, or Damex, of course, or
Solana. We were talking about.
Solana, Cardano, Polkadot. I mean, these are things which can, you know, people are using in the real world, and they have utility. But I don't see that most tokens are just there trying. You know, someone's trying to pump it so they can sell into their, you know, like maybe it's an influencer pumping a coin so they can sell to their own listeners. I don't know.
We haven't got a coin to sell you. Don't worry, folks. Well, I think we've sorted out that problem.
All right, yeah.
Or we creating new problems, but
a bit of both.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly. I know there's some other topics you wanted to talk about today. How we doing on time?
I'm okay.
You're okay. I wanted to mention one silly little thing today, because it is St. Patrick's Day. So I found an Irish coin on the on the exchanges, and it was leprechaun coin. And just today it has gone up 40-odd%. So
this is not financial advice.
This is not financial advice.
Probably do not buy this coin.
No, I'm going to have a look at it tomorrow. It'll be down minus 45%, no doubt. So I'm going to keep an eye on it for 24 hours, and then remember to do the same next St. Patrick's Day. But we've had a little look at some of the markets. So any comments on what's going up and down at the moment?
Yeah, well, I'm not really interested in individual things going up and down. I mean, the best way, my most productive days are the days I don't even look at the prices of Bitcoin or Ethereum, you know, and you'd actually, it's actually the most profitable way to do it as well. Is have your coins, just don't look at the market for 2 years, and you know, and then see if you've got a nice surprise at the end of it, or 2 years plus.
Yes, but don't leave them on the exchanges, remember. Yeah,
don't leave them. Yeah, but if you do put them in your own wallets, understand how the security works. And it's still not simple. I mean, that's the big issue. Is wallets are still, you know, I mean, until we get easier to use wallets, it's really going to hold back the mainstream from crypto. And I'm still waiting for Google or Apple to integrate crypto into the iPhone or Android or Google Wallet or whatever.
Yeah,
that will make it a lot easier.
Probably quite right. I don't know how many wallets I've opened up over the years, and yes, and even when I'm sending anything from one of my wallets or receiving it, there's still that slight panic that you're getting it right and making sure that it's getting there. So yeah, maybe I suppose I'm just used to doing it. Maybe there is an easier way.
I know Coinbase is coming out with a wallet API, and I'm not sure exactly what that allows us to do, but I need to take a look at that. But I think that wallets will end up centralized, to be honest. I think we'll just trust a few big companies. I mean, like Revolut, for example. I think people will start to trust people like Revolut, keeping their crypto. The only problem with that is you can't send the crypto out again, which is why why Damex is good.
Yeah, at the moment. So I suppose if they are gonna, well, I suppose again, Revolut. How big is Revolut in the world as such?
They're big. I think they're big in Europe for sure.
Yeah. Globally, I don't know how they in the Americas. Are
know.
they in Asia? I don't know. But again, for us, we see it.
Yeah.
We use it a lot. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I hope so. All right.
I think are we coming to the end of the podcast?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. Unless there's anything else.
No, I think we bored you all out there. And remember, make sure you give us a click, give us a wave, give us a like, give us whatever. If you enjoy listening to two old men talking crypto, be sure to catch the next episode, which will be episode 6, hopefully next week. And I'll say goodbye. My name's Mark, and I'll pass you over to Zubair.
And goodbye from him. You've seen that, yeah?
And goodbye from me.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.